play around with that idea. Just think this. Everything's perfect. We live in a perfect universe. Everything that's happening is perfect. And here, if you really want to get really fucking rancid, how about this? You're perfect.
Wow.
And you're exactly where you need to be. And exactly what's happening to you right now is perfect. It's just exactly right. You, right now, the way you are, and all your glory or all your fucking awfulness is beautiful and perfect, and you're going to be fine.
This video is a collective of 4 years of watching Duncan Trussell, listening to his podcast, watching him on JRE. Every time he's on, the episodes are filled with thought experiments, and they've just altered the way I've looked at things, helped me in a lot of ways, and I know they've helped other people around me. So I decided to put this together. Hopefully I can help some other people as well. Go support Duncan Trussell. I have his Patreon in the description. Subscribe to Duncan's Patreon, follow him on everything, support him, and enjoy.
To me, I think that whatever's happening, you just have to make it a good thing. Like whether or not it is a good thing or not, that's, if there is something great about humans, is that we're capable of alchemizing phenomena in a way that it doesn't completely drive us nuts or paralyze us. That's anything that's happening to you can be converted into something either that's going to make you scared, self-destructive, rationalize your anger, rationalize your shitty decisions, or it can be used as a thing that completely, quote, converts you, completely shifts your method or way of living. And that's what's beautiful about a human, is that at any given moment you can do that. Accelerate the evolution of your own life by overcoming the obstacles that are keeping you from getting to the part of the multiverse that you want to exist in. That's the first thing. And as you're doing that, the second part of it should be trying to help other people around you overcome the obstacles that are keeping them chained down in the harbor of sorrows, as I call it.
Yes.
And if you can start doing that, then the moment you start moving and the moment you free yourself from the guilt and the shame, then I have noticed that when I apply myself and work really hard, synchronicities increase by like tenfold for some reason.
Yes.
Coincidences start happening.
Yes.
Things start happening that normally never happen to me.
Yeah.
And I think this is like, I think coincidences are like novelty sparks that are a result of you like hammering at like a metaphysical anvil, which is you're trying to work on your life, and the more you start doing that, all of a sudden these sparks start flying.
A byproduct.
There you go. And it's synchronicity, and that's the deal, man. You want those synchronicities. You want the novelty, you know? Things he talked about is in some religious tradition how they like hold the scriptures. A rabbi like had his students hold the scriptures over their heart, and when they were memorizing them, and they would say, why do we do this? And he said, so that when your heart breaks, they'll fall in. And it's a beautiful idea, which is that heartbreak is actually your ego cracking. And the moment that cracks, you're in the experience of truth. And when you're in the experience of truth, that's when you can really become who you are. But to get to who you are, it's like when a bone heals the wrong way. Like that's what a lot of people's entire personality is. It's like a bone that grew the wrong way, and that needs a fucking a snap, a crack, and you get that through
and a plump.
You need that initial fucking thing, and
it's a beautiful analogy,
and it hurts. It hurts, but we're pain avoiding creatures, so we think so we're always running away from this pain. But the problem is, as we're running away from pain, we're still exactly in pain.
It's almost like we have a numb arm probing into the darkness, and that numb arm is scratching the fuck out of reality. And we don't know it because we just can't feel it.
It's when you have the balls to go into the darkness, and all of a sudden you realize that darkness was a complete illusion. All the darkness and negativity and spooky shit and guilt and fear and crap you thought was inside you, and all the bad things you thought you've done, and all the things that you feel terrible about secretly, you realize that's nothing. It's an illusion. The universe loves you. You're completely embraced by the entire universe. You're an incremental part of the functioning of the cosmos, and you're an incredible, wonderful, perfect fucking thing. And when you get a glimpse of that, it's the greatest feeling ever, because you're healed. Because that's what true healing is, man. True healing is realizing you were never sick in the first place. Like at any given moment, you can shed your operating system, theoretically. You could drop all of the hang-ups, all the weird shit. Are you jerking off 3 times a day? You could maybe take it down to 2 times a day. Are you drinking every single night? You can stop that. And to me, that's like, yeah, the future beings, whatever they are, I hope one of the qualities or one of the things they look back at is like, holy shit, those poor things had no idea how powerful they were. They were sleepwalking when they could have at any moment connected to the great truth, the divine, the glory of all things, and could have theoretically, any one of them, just one of them, could have converted the entire planet into an up-leveled, up-resonanced, up-consciousness utopia. But they all were sleepwalking. And then finally, somebody woke up for real. And I don't know, maybe I don't know what that looks like.
A lot of people have it very rough, man. And a lot of people, a lot of people listening to this are so fucking hard on themselves, and they don't apply the exact same thing that you're saying to apply to other people, to their own lives. Like, so many people feel so guilty, so like they wake up in the morning and they think about some dumb fucking thing they did whenever they did it for whatever dumb reason, and they feel all this guilt, and they walk around like a dog with a droopy tail because they don't think they deserve love. And so I think that to get to the place you're talking about, which is a fucking awesome place, empathy for all human beings, loving everyone to the best of your ability, you got to start with the person closest to you, right? And that's you. That's your life. Like, you have to figure out a way to sit down, take an appraisal of your life. Don't skip anything. Don't ignore anything. Look at the whole way that you're playing the entire game and understand that all the things that you've done that are stupid, what the fuck did you expect yourself to do? Like, you're temporarily existing in a dimension that is actively destroying you in every single moment. You're not going to be perfect. Give yourself a break. So you start with that. And then once you start, everyone's got a thing in them, right? Everybody has a thing inside of them that they don't like about themselves. Maybe not you, or maybe that thing's been reduced to some degree, but a lot of people, they think they're too fat. They think they're too thin. They think that their tattoo sucks, or they regret the way that they treated their parents, or they feel like they're not far enough ahead in their career. Whatever the fucking thing it is, man. Everybody has this aspect of themselves that they're really unhappy with. So if you get really honest about the parts of yourself you're unhappy about, then you will be excited to learn that you've been being attacked by those aspects of yourself in the form of everyone you think's an asshole. So it's like you're projecting those parts of yourself out onto the world. So all the people where you're like, man, that guy's a fucking douchebag. Why would he ever fucking act like that? And can you believe that guy did that fucking shit? If you stop and think really hard about yourself, you'll discover that you are guilty of those very same crimes generally. And if you weren't, you wouldn't even notice it. You just are seeing parts of yourself you can't quite address. So the optimistic thing about this concept of loving everyone, or getting to the place of loving everyone, is that if you can figure out how to love yourself, it's very similar to wiping dog shit off your shoe. Because if you have dog shit on your shoe, everywhere you go smells like shit. And if you allow yourself the delusion that the reason everywhere smells like shit is because dog shit must be on every single surface in this entire planet, then you're going to be in hell. But what a glorious moment when you look at your shoe and you're like, oh, just shit on my shoe. The entire planet isn't covered with shit. It's actually just shit on my shoe. And like in the same way, once you recognize that there's a little piece of karmic dog shit that's gotten stuck inside of your life, and instead of hating that piece of dog shit by torturing the people around you who manifest the same propensity you dislike in yourself, you forgive that part of yourself and actively learn to love it, or at least just understand that it's there because it was trying to protect you when you were a kid, and it manifested as a callous to keep you from whoever was fucking with you, and that's why you don't like it. it'll shift a little bit, man. And you will notice a significant reduction in that swarms of assholes that were previously surrounding you. It's a fascinating thing. Suddenly people just stop bugging you as much. And that's because you've gotten into yourself and you said, I love you. You did the best you could do. You didn't know. You were half asleep. You were fucking drunk.
It's not imagining that when people connect to this divine source, it immediately says, oh, hi, yeah, this is the part of your program where you were supposed to start remembering what's really going on here and reconnecting with me. Don't worry. Don't feel bad. It's okay. Everyone goes through that. In fact, you requested a disconnect for the last 15 years when you were getting hammered and imagining you were Charles Bukowski or whatever. Like, if this was all part of the plan, that was actually teaching you what happens when you don't take care of your body. Now, we're like connecting, sending a download to you, letting you know, hi, it's us. We're here. We're not mad at you. How could we be? We're infinite. We've been here since before the stars. You wanted this to happen. My apologies for cutting off your ball, killing your mom and your dad.
Jesus.
You know what I mean? But whatever, this is all part of a bigger thing. And I think that's, to me, what God is. It's this constantly rejuvenating, synchronistic perfection that becomes increasingly perfect, and it exists simultaneous to this seemingly imperfect universe. And it's always there for you to connect to at any moment. That's a beautiful thing. So I think the reason for it is not to scare people. It's more so that people become like fountains for that. And in some small way become little droplets or like divine bits of perspiration bubbling up into this place, so that folks who are really freaking out right now or worried or scared or disconnected could have at least the chance to reconnect.
And for me, it toggles where I'll care a lot and then I'll care a little bit less and be a little more selfish.
Yeah.
Like, do you have a practice that drives you into deeper care?
No. I mean, I don't think it would be like honest to say that I have a practice that does that, but I do have a practice that has taught me not to freak out too much when I'm in the not caring states. You know, so because or a way of looking at the sort of penduluming in between those two places, which a lot of times get associated with the head and the heart.
Yeah, totally.
The head's are the thinking robot thing, and the heart is just pure love, pure caring. It's the child consciousness. I'm not always in my heart. And a lot of times I'm way up in my fucking head, pure robot mode. And if I start feeling like, oh my God, I'm numb, I'm not caring, I don't feel anything right now, I don't care, then that doesn't do anything to get me out of the headspace. It only amplifies it. So so for me, when I do land in those spaces, I just remember that every single other time I've ended up there, it doesn't last. Like inevitably, like I get back into my heart, back into my life, back into myself. And that way I don't freak out quite as much when I go robot, you know?
I struggle with that, I guess, a little bit. You know, like no matter how many times I've made it through one of these little crucibles when I'm in it, or I'm in kind of scarcity or self-doubt or in this removal from my heart and in my head and not caring, you know, I'll be like, oh, fuck, here it is. I fucked it up. I'm broken. And I have a little bit of that faith, but definitely not enough. And always when I ask questions about like, what do I need more of? It's always like more faith. Like if I'm in contact with what I feel like is either my higher self or divine guidance, it might all be the very same thing. And it's like, what do I need? It's always love yourself and have more faith. It's like very simple instructions.
Infuriating. It's infuriating. That shit is so infuriating because you want it. The thing, the reverse maze Sherpa.
Yeah.
He or they want it to be complex.
Yeah.
Like they don't want it to be like just fucking drink more water, go get some sun.
Yeah.
Maybe like it's not a good idea to drink vodka 3 weeks straight. You know what I mean? Like very simple. And then all of a sudden you're feeling good again. You're in your heart. Allow yourself to imagine that you are a limitless, super powerful, creative force that, with focus and discipline, can, starting right now, create a temporal wave of positivity that will not only roll through your physical form and manifest as health and getting into shape and having more energy and just feeling good, but will actually roll out of the cave of your mouth in the form of angelic words that spontaneously erupt at odd moments in the day. And those have been called prayer, where all of a sudden you find yourself just saying thank you to nothing in particular or to everything. Imagine, just for a second, that that's what you really are, that you can be a kind of fountain of bliss that goes erupting into this dimension, a volcano of joy that explodes into your particular community. And it can happen in an unexpected way. Just like out of the blue, volcanoes will suddenly explode. In the same way, out of the blue, you can start exploding love into your family and friends and work and business, and not in a bullshit way, not in the phony bullshit way where people explode love when really all they're trying to do is make you feel like a goddamn asshole because they're better than you, but in the actual way, where suddenly you don't even know what you're saying, but you're saying just the right thing at just the right time to the person who needs to hear it, and you don't even know why. And you don't even have to worry about why, but it can happen. These volcanoes have been exploding throughout history.
By kind of just my own ability to have something different than I thought my fucking world, than I thought the world was. And it's so scary to realize that there's more out there than this very specific world that I had created and that I needed a lot of times for survival. You know, growing up, if you grow up in a tough environment or in a, you know, environment where there's not a lot of feelings and love, then you'll create whatever you have to, whatever checks and balances make sense for you for survival.
Yeah, that's right.
But to get out of that now and like, yeah, it's like you kind of push and you're like, oh, fuck, a board fell off this back wall and like, what's out here?
Yeah.
And you reach out there and like the air feels different and you're like, fuck, dude.
Yeah.
You know, the truth is, it is a simulation, you know, and we told you that before you linked into the thing, and we told you it would wipe your memory and that you would feel like you are helpless in the sense that the thing you are right now, you don't know what the power that you wield. So you chose that, just so you know, and we said that in this moment we would do a thing where we alerted you of the fact that you had intentionally decided to dive into a simulation, making you limited. You're very powerful. You're Thor. In the human world that you're in right now, you're actually Thor. You're a powerful Norse god that has gotten sucked into a very temporary like magic spell that isn't even that powerful compared to the powers in the world you come from. But right now you have become convinced that you are a limited identity in the mortal realm, which you requested, by the way. You said, I want to be an insurance agent, real estate agent, school teacher, psychologist, fireman, cop. I wanted to be a pilot, somebody who was a flight attendant, someone who worked in a museum, teacher, somebody who was a historian, a failed writer, a failed comedian. And you became this temporary thing, but the truth is you're a god and you're confused. Joe, welcome back.
Oh my God.
And that feeling inside of you that comes during heartbreak is not a feeling that is happening because you've lost someone that you've loved. It's a feeling that's happening because you have come into contact with the truth, which is that you are one tiny infinitesimal fragment of this, what may have been the first heartbreak of all time, which was when everything became a something. And you are experiencing within you that kind of broken, fragmented sense of, I'll never be whole again. And as dire and dismal as that sounds,
the beautiful idea that is in a lot of different religious systems is that in this human incarnation, you can actually heal that feeling. So you're like the Big Bang. You're like this broken fragment of the Big Bang that for this little bit of time that you're here, you can turn the focus of your attention inward and begin to love that scream, love that initial thing that made everything explode. And then if you can heal yourself, then you'll begin to transmit that to the people around you. And the big, sweet, awesome, beautiful, hippie idea is that if we all start doing that, then eventually the universe will, as it inevitably falls back into itself, fall back into itself not as a scream of existential horror and agony, but as a kind of ever accelerating, exponentially increasing state of super orgasmic bliss. And that's why we're here. Shit. Cool.
But I would say he wasn't being himself. What I would say is that his behavior was so extreme because he was seeking balance between that and the other bullshit in his life. Whereas if he weren't living that, he'd be right in the middle.
Right. You know? Yeah. Well, but to get to the middle, the way to get to the middle, weirdly, is whatever the behavior is that you're doing, that you're so horrified about and terrified of. Sometimes the really weird ideas. This is like something that I like that Ram Dass says, which is like, if you don't feel like meditating, don't meditate. Don't force it. Don't impose this on yourself. Keep doing the thing you're doing that's upsetting you so much. Have the balls to keep doing the fucking thing that you're doing. Keep doing it. Society is going to tell you, don't be like this. Stop being like this. You have to change. That's what your parents always say. The idea is like, no, sink into what you are right now. Just be that thing. Stop resisting. Exactly where you are right now is perfect. And that's a hard truth to grasp because you think right away, yeah, what about fucking Jeffrey Dahmer? Is he perfect? Well, what about the leopard? When you're seeing a leopard rip apart a creature, is that a perfect moment?
I don't think the leopard fucks them and then kills them.
But you know what ducks do? Ducks are necrophiliacs. Are they fucking evil creatures?
Yes, I think they are.
Well, yeah, they are.
They made that film.
Because, listen, man, if I was God wanting to get blasted, if I was some divine being wanting to get high, and Alan Watts has a beautiful lecture on this, I really do think at some point I would want to cut off all connection to the realization of my divinity and experience infinite lifetimes on a planet, on a tumultuous planet, and experience every incarnation and all of it to get an understanding of what it is like to be extremely limited. And what would this do? It would just add to my data banks. It would just help me increasingly become more and more beautiful and perfect, which seems to be what we're in right now. It's like we have a limited data set based on our neurology. We can't see certain colors. We can't hear certain sounds. We don't know what happened 20,000 years ago. We don't know what happens 5 seconds from now. And so this is a perfect place to be in becoming, to know what it is to become and to be limited. And this is, who knows, man, it's just something sniffing data. It's something just like, it's like snorting our lives, like the universe is snorting our lives on time. And on the mirror of time.
Well, it's the big thing, right, that keeps us from seeing that. And the one thing that all psychedelics have in common is the dissolving of the ego. They all dissolve the ego.
You're kind of a student of some of this world, and you love that.
Well, I mean, it's just like what you were talking about. Oh shit, I've got feelings. Oh my God, my universe is a million times bigger. The idea that we being a human being means.
Yeah. It's scary.
It's scary, but it's expansive. What it means is like you are living in this crazy form, and the form itself will trick you into thinking that, oh no, this is it. These are your limitations.
Right.
But then we inevitably, if you push up against that, you realize, wait a minute, oh my God, I can actually open this. This pushes out a little bit. Yeah. This unfolds. This opens up. And then suddenly this
isn't a shack. There's a little bit of there's a place to walk back here.
That's right. And it's beautiful. It's exciting. And you are the very crest of the wave of existence. As far as we know, you are the most advanced being living in the galaxy that you've incarnated into. And relative to the great universe that you're existing in, there are not a lot of humans. Sure, it seems like a lot because the planet ain't that big, but compared to the number of stars, compared to the number of galaxies, there's not a lot of us here. You're special. You're unique. You have such incredible power. You're running the exact same biocomputer that gave birth to such things as the theory of relativity, electricity, quantum physics, all philosophical systems, yoga, and anything that any human ever did. You're running that exact same computer. That's you. That's you. That's the kind of power that you have. You can literally do anything. You can be the being that intuits or channels an entirely new system of thought that can transform a huge part of the biomass that you're currently a member of. It happens all the time. Aren't all thoughts intrusive?
In some ways, yeah. I mean, I think sometimes you can intend a track, especially when you're able to like get into your mind and set your intention, almost like meditating.
Yeah.
You can intend your way through a track of thought.
Yeah.
But a lot of times they just appear.
To me, it just seems like you kind of pick the thoughts you want to focus on. And because it's like, I can't make a thought appear. Like it's a really interesting concept, which is thought. By the time you are like thinking, as we call it, really what you're doing is remembering a thought, like something that's bubbled out of your brain has instantly been encoded into memory. And so you're having a memory of something that your brain just kind of like barfed out. And so from that perspective, the whole idea of who we are, especially if you feel wound up in your thoughts, is kind of off in the sense that, yeah, maybe you can like decide, all right, I'm going to think about a rainbow. I'm going to think about a monk turning into a rainbow. But the part of you that decided to think about a monk turning into a rainbow, like wherever that came from, where did that come from? What bubbled up that initial thing that came out? Is that your own autonomous decision? Were you down in your subconscious cooking up the next thing you're going to say? No, it just appeared. So claiming ownership of it is kind of interesting. You know, it's a curious thing people do.
It's at the very least a paradox.
You know, I was thinking it's like, what are those little, not prairie dogs, they stand and look around at the hawks. You know what I'm talking about? What are those things called? They're social little marmots or something like that.
Okay.
You know, there was a show like Lemur Palace. I don't remember what they're called, something, but they're really
cute. I see them at the zoo.
They're fucking adorable.
They're one of the most adorable animals ever.
They stand and look. Yeah. Somehow they ignore all the humans around them and just look in the sky for a hawk. It's kind of sad, but
that's their life, though.
But imagine if that one looking for the hawk had like the internet and could see hawks thousands of miles away. How anxious all of them would be, because he would always be like, get underground, get underground, get underground. Right. So, you know, I think this is what has happened, is that we're all constantly being told. I mean, I remember when I was growing up in the old days, when the news had an alert, that was serious. Some serious shit went down. Yep. You would be, what the fuck? Fox News or any of the news stations, they have an alert like every 4 minutes now. Yeah. Dum, 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 alert, dum, 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 alert. And it's all telling us just what you're saying. Get underground. Go inside, danger out here, danger out here. And so we're all like, even before this shit, we were huddled up a little bit. Now we can rationalize the huddling, you know, and that's what we're doing. We're just huddling inside right now. That's an incredibly vulnerable place to be. I mean, when the stars align and be like, look, you were so scared, that wasn't really going to happen. So like, I think to me, it all comes down to, like, and this is the cheap one, your own projections, right?
Yeah.
Like, because I have been in an apocalypse. I have experienced an apocalypse just by eating too much weed and being around the wrong people.
Right.
It didn't require any kind of like chaos or earthquakes or fires or famine. Just my own subjective configuration can produce an apocalypse around me, regardless of external circumstance. So I imagine the trick would be to like make it so that you aren't apocalypsizing? What's the
apocalypsing?
Don't apocalypse yourself if you can help it. I mean, apocalypse yourself in the true sense of the word, the lifting of the veil, allow yourself to be true and real, but maybe don't like go all day long thinking about like Dateline episodes and looking around imagining.
Well, I think so. First of all, I don't think that's a cheap way out. I think that's a very insightful way out, because I think like genuinely all of this talk about the multiverse, we think about it like an externalized universe that's separately created by something else other than us. But really, we're walking around in a multiverse now where we're in a universe of our own fucking story, where everything we think, see, perceive is slightly different than another person who thinks, perceives something similar, but it's not.
Right.
You know, so like we're in this co-created multiverse, which we can call the universe, the one verse.
Yeah.
And potentially there are other whole entire universes, but we have a multiverse that we're participating in, which is our own psychic frame, our own purview into reality.
Right.
Like that is for sure.
Yes, for sure. Yeah, like everybody at the airport, you're looking at just different universes like, hanging out together.
Exactly.
Everyone. And you look at that and you think to yourself, oh, that could have been me. You know, or you watch the John Wayne Gacy documentary and you think, I could have been John Wayne Gacy, like a few wrong turns, a few like bad experiences, some shit goes wrong up here, who knows, a micro stroke here and there. The next thing you know, you're climbing out of your fucking basement after burying somebody you strangled down there. We could be anything. You can be. I don't think people like that idea.
People hate that idea. Yeah. This isn't something I've been on this trip for a while, and a lot of my psychedelic medicine journeys have been pointing me to this. It's the full breadth of our human polarity. Like we are all the dark and all the light in latent possibility.
Yeah.
Now, what we choose to express is going to be some point of identification on that polar spectrum from all the way good. Call it Yeshua on one side, call it Satan on the other side.
Yeah.
But we're the entire breadth of all of that, and we just choose where we're at. And sometimes we're not entirely choosing. Sometimes our conditioning is steering us. But I do believe that we have some choice as to the actions we take and the expressions we make. But if we really look close enough, we're going to see all that shit, all the horns and all the angel's wings.
Right. It's actually a problem, and it's a blessing, because like if I get addicted to something healthy, I get really addicted to it.
Right,
so it's just the problem is it's easier to get addicted to things that aren't healthy for you. So like, yeah, man, I realized like, you know, I wasn't like Charles Bukowski. I wasn't even drinking like vodka. I was like, it was just a very subtle thing I was doing where every night I'd have 2 beers, maybe 3 beers sometimes. It wasn't like I was getting hammered, but every night I was putting alcohol into my bloodstream with great frequency, right? And so, you know, I've been thinking a lot about the concept of the human life as being a kind of alchemical experiment. Like your body is like a beaker, and everything that you eat and everything that you witness and everything that you hear, whatever enters into your sensory input is like an additive that you're putting into this mix. And the mix that you're creating is, you know, it depends on what you want to create, but what you definitely don't want to create in that mix is sadness, horror, depression, anger, bitterness, loneliness. For me, I'd like that mix to be health, happiness, amplification of my ability to love, forgiveness, all that kind of stuff. So from that POV, I was noticing that when I was drinking, my ego is flaring up a little bit. I found myself just kind of if I continued that path, you know, if I kept drinking and drinking and drinking and drinking, I could just see where it would take me. And I don't want to go there. So anyway, I stopped drinking and started doing this kind of like observation of the way I feel now that I'm not drinking, right? And one thing I've noticed is that when I go out to a club or a bar, wherever there's alcohol, and I don't drink, about like 10 o'clock or 11 o'clock, my body feels so good. Like all of a sudden my body's like, wait, why do we feel so good? What the fuck is going on, man? I feel really good. And I'll think that, like, why do I feel so good? It's like, oh, You don't have 2 beers in your fucking system. Your blood sugar's not thrown off. You don't have like this like flammable liquid coursing through your body that's considered to be one of the most dangerous drugs that currently exists on the planet that we're on. And I feel awesome in the morning. Oh, you wake up and like, God damn, man, what a great night's sleep. Weird. You don't have a flammable fucking liquid in your stomach being, you know what I mean? Like, oh, who would think? Oh, wow, not to be disgusting, but shit, man, my fucking shit, man, has gotten healthier. And then you're like, everything's better. Oh, wow, weird. What a shocker, huh? That fucking fermented wheat juice you've been dumping into your fucking mouth for the last year 5 times a week was fucking up your body, dum-dum. And so
fermented wheat juice. That's really what it is.
Yeah. So it's really cool because not only do you get to do that, but you get to watch what happens to the, imbibers of the fermented wheat juice as the hours of the night tick on. And you watch these people, gradually transform from like really fun people into the goddamn Walking Dead. Like you see this very slow, weird tumble into some version of ego, So it's a really fun thing to do all these things as an experiment. You don't have to get all heavy about it. It's just like, I'm going to do an experiment. I'm going to watch what I'm like when I drink. I'm going to watch what I like when I don't drink. I'm going to pick which one I like better. And right now, not drinking Duncan, I like a fuckload better than drinking Duncan. So much more fun. But you can actually, I see I'm doing the opposite of a curse on you right now. You can actually, at this very moment, create the first movement. Like an avalanche can start with a pebble. Just a pebble moved out of place can hit another pebble, which hits another pebble and creates a chain reaction that creates an avalanche. You can, at this very moment, if you wanted to, move that one little pebble, that one little piece of limitation, whatever it may be. You can just push it a little bit and you could create an avalanche of limitlessness in your life. Whatever that fucking means. You could do it. You're a limitless being that deserves love and you exist in paradise. There, I said it. You deserve love. You exist in paradise and you have the potential to do anything you want, regardless of what your current situation may seem. And I don't mean this in a kind of like televangelist bullshit way. I'm telling you, read Viktor Frankl's Man's Search for Meaning. Study. You got to work hard. I'm not saying if you just lay back and suddenly decide that everything's perfect, everything's going to become perfect. No! The blessing I'm placing on you is a blessing of action. And it's got to fucking start with the realization that you're limitless. It starts with joy. It can. It starts with allowing yourself to go crazy. You let yourself go crazy. That's the point. You let yourself become Don Quixote. You let yourself believe that you're a hero, even if your current patterns of activity happen to be completely meaningless. You allow yourself the delusion that you are made of love. You allow yourself to pretend that and see what happens. Just see what happens. Like a scientist. Study it. What happens if you allow yourself to be hypnotized by this hippie spirituality rant that I'm spewing into your ears right now? Allow yourself to be temporarily lulled into a state of believing that you are incredibly powerful and that you matter and that you can do whatever you want and anything that you think is limiting you is an illusion, then pretty wild shit will start happening in your life.
Put it up your asshole? Would you even consider it?
Yes.
Really?
I would put DMT up my ass. I've thought about it after I heard about it.
It's a good way to let the universe know you give up.